Hello and welcome back to Hydroponics Daily. And feel a bit of a fraud saying daily because in 2025 we did a podcast every single day and haven't done one since the start of January. So it's been a long time. And that's because we've moved location. We've got a new Utrema HQ. And the good upside of that is that we've got this nice, tiny little office that is padded and makes a fantastic podcast studio. So hopefully the audio will be even better than it was before. And yeah, so why have I not done a podcast in 3-4 months? It's because we've moved location. We've been crazy busy with lawn care. Now, the UK hydroponic industry sector has been very low, very dull for a number of years now. And even though I love hydroponics, I love horticulture, it's actually not what's paying the bills. And it's not what's gone bonkers busy with lawn care and sports turf and arable crops this year. So really hydroponics has been flatlined and dead, even though we have fantastic products for hydroponics and we love it. We have grow rooms set up here at facilities and we mess around with plants all day, every day. It's really not been what's paying the bills. So really hard to justify spending the time getting out on the road to hydro shops and doing podcasts and videos and things like that. So it's really disappointing. Hopefully it'll turn around soon. However, the subject of today's podcast is not good news. I'm going to be talking about something that is potentially Armageddon for a lot of nutrient brands in the hydroponic sector and certainly will result in lots of them reducing their product portfolio. I can see a world where only a few nutrient brands remain with much lower selection. Obviously, the big guys, the Dutch, the Canners, the advanced nutrients will be able to survive this Armageddon. And yeah, hopefully, Utrema will be fine because we sell so much into other sectors. So we'll still supply grow shops when they contact us. And if we've got the product, we'll send it out to them. I recorded this next bit as a video that went on to Instagram. So it may seem like I'm referring to a website, a UK government website. It is a UK focused podcast. So if you're in America, it's talking about basically UK regulations. So if you're in America, you can stop listening now because it's not going to, unless you're interested in that, it's going to be about new laws that are coming into effect. That means that the costs of fertilizer are going to ramp up and fertilizer are going to disappear in the UK. And if you're using UK brands, that might be of interest to you because they may not be able to supply into America in the future. All right. So here we go. Hello there. I'm Dr. Russell Sharp, and you might be watching this on a video or listening to it on a podcast. It may be a podcast or a video about hydroponics, or it may be about lawn care or agriculture. And that's because what I'm going to talk about today is relevant to every sector of growing crops. And this is the new fertiliser regulations that are going to be brought into the UK. Now, it's a consultation at the moment, but don't kid yourself. This is coming in and it's going to be Armageddon for the fertiliser industry. So there's a consultation where people can give their views, but don't kid yourself into thinking that your views will be really listened to. I think this is going to be shoehorned through because it's going to align us with the EU, and there are big forces that want us to be aligned with the EU. So obviously, greater alignment with the EU is because of bullying by the European Union so that we comply with their rules and we get punished for Brexit. We cannot have our own rules. And for a long time, the UK has had some really good fertiliser regulations. Basically, it was common law. You had to say your products had to contain what they said they were. Otherwise, they were illegal. So if you said they contained 12% nitrogen, they had to contain 12% nitrogen. They almost treated you like an adult. There was no registration. If you thought there was registration for fertilisers, you were wrong. That's not true. In Europe, many European countries, with the exception of Holland and Ireland until recently, there was no registration. There was registration in every single individual state, but not at an EU level. Now, that's changed for biostimulants, and for the UK, we're going to have a registration for fertilizers and biostimulants. Now, fine, you might think I'll pay a registration fee, and all the companies will do that. However, it's not going to be as simple as that. Every fertilizer has to be tested and biostimulant for efficacy. So they have to go to a third-party lab, an independent lab, and all of the costs that are involved with that, they have to be tested for efficacy, prove they work. My big problem with that is not only is it going to be a massive expense, it's also going to lead to loads of people just sticking nitrogen in their products because they'll say, yes, it increased growth. because you can stick a seaweed extract and stick some nitrogen in and it will just grow better. So it's absolute nonsense, the efficacy tests. Then you have to test for toxins, including things like copper, which are already in fertilizers anyway. So not sure about that. Things for cadmium and stuff like that, which is obviously very useful. It's going to mean that you're going to have to potentially disclose your formulation, and fertilizers and biostimulants are not patented in general. They are know-how. We protect our know-how here at Utrema, and we don't declare our formulations unless they are hazardous. There's a hazardous ingredient, and this is going to be loss of intellectual property to large multinational companies. And so that's a big concern of mine. Now, these are not pesticides and they're not medicines, so they're not patented, they're low margin, and these costs will have to be put onto consumers, whether that's farmers, lawn care people, or hydroponic growers. And it will mean that a lot of companies will cease to exist. To register one fertilizer will mean that it just won't be economically viable for a lot of brands. And so a lot of brands will just shut up shop. In hydroponics, for example, there's brands with like 30, 40 offerings. One company, isn't it Atami? They've got like loads of PK products. So they may rationalize down to just one PK product. And so you might find far fewer products on the market. And the reason, well, let me go into the reasons why this is being pushed. Obviously, the likes of Keir Starmer, who want EU alignment. The research organisations, they can see a cash cow coming here, loads of efficacy trials. Consultants can see a load of money coming here. And then consultants, or the name, parasites, they're going to want their chunk. But the key thing here is big multinational agrochemical companies can see this as a fantastic barrier to entry for new fertiliser and biostimulant companies. You can just stop new products coming to the market and new companies, more importantly, coming to the market by providing a massive cost barrier to launching it. So you need to get money from the City of London or angel investors or put serious money into it to launch any product in future in the UK. Whereas before, new companies could set up. So this is great for the large multinationals. Bayer, BASF from Germany, Adama, ICL, especially ICL in lawn care and horticulture. They're going to love it. The Israelis, Adama and ICL, the Chinese, Syngenta, the Americans, DuPont, people like this, Corteva. No, there are no big British chemical fertilizer companies or biostimulant companies anymore in the UK. We have destroyed that industry. And this is going to make it even more foreign owned and foreign controlled. Now, Utrema, we're going to be okay because we've sort of grown to the point now where we can absorb these costs. We've got some fantastic products that are selling really well. And one of the things I've always done is not increase the product portfolio and product offerings unless there's a valid reason to do that. So we've kept our portfolio really, really tight. And even in hydroponics, we've only got one or two products that we actually offer. And so we haven't expanded into an A and a B and a bloom and a flower and a veg and a hard water and a soft water and a PK for this and a PK for mid flowering and a finisher and this and that and a pH up and a pH down, because everyone else has already got that. They're generic, and the registration costs, the regulatory costs are going to be massive to have a range of 20, 30 products. So if you need any help with this as it goes along, feel free to contact me, because I think it's an issue that I think is going to be massive. They're even like threatening you with prison if you don't comply with these regulations. And they're going to have a body that can come in and seize documents and seize goods and things like this. Really Stalinistic proposals on this website, which I'm going to go through in a sec. And my other reason I don't like it is that it's not going to stop people selling carcinogenic fertilizers, which is one of my big bugbears. Even with these new registrations, you could still sell, and in Europe, you can still sell carcinogenic cobalt sulfate as a fertilizer because people can make some money out of it for no valid reason. So in summary, far fewer competitors or competition and far smaller product lines. So if you're a hydroponic shop, for example, your range will vastly reduce once these fertilizer reforms are enacted. Now, on this website here, the consultation, if you just have a look at that, consult.defra.gov.uk, fertilizer team, but if you just ask ChatGPT or Gemini to find it for you, it will find it. There's loads and loads of information here. It's really, and there's 100 questions I filled in on my consultation. Just to move myself over here, you can do an online survey and give your feedback. And I just went through and gave my feedback on it. And a lot of it, you probably get bored by the time you've done 90 to about 80 questions. So there's nothing for small producers. There's no mention of sort of grandfathering anything over. And, you'll see the EU mentioned a lot. So I think this is going to be massive. I think you need to be aware of it and preparing for it and have some money in the bank prepared for all these massive costs for testing, toxin evaluation. And if you think that it's wrong, and if you think this we should keep with the common law one that's served us well until now, then fill in this form and say so. Okay.